And in today's video, we are reacting to how it feels to die from every Saw trap. Man, bro, just imagine that's gotta be a crazy situation. Imagine you went out to the club, you walking home from the bar, you get a little tired, all of a sudden you fall, you pass out. Next thing you know, you wake up to a motherfucking bear claw strapped to your head, and a nigga on a microphone that you don't even know where it's coming from is telling you you have 60 seconds to pull the key from the inside of your asshole. If you don't, we're gonna rip your intestines in half. Like, that's gotta be a crazy situation. But let's go ahead and get into this video and see what it will feel like to pass away from these traps.
You just woke up, there's this weird metal thing on your head, and you've got 60 seconds and a key that's currently inside a dead man's stomach. That's the reverse bear trap, and honestly, it's one of the easier Saw traps. The metal harness locked around your face will rip your jaw apart when the timer hits 0, but at least you get a corpse to work with and a knife to do the digging. At least you don't have to hurt someone else. But some of the other traps in the Saw franchise don't give you that courtesy. Some of them require you to cut off your own limbs in under a minute. Some of them drown you in rotting pig parts. One of them breaks every bone in your body individually while you're strapped to a table. And then the machine pauses between each limb, so you stay fully conscious for all of it. These aren't just your average movie props. The designers on the team actually hired engineers to make sure the physics worked and the pain was accurate and the deaths were somewhat possible. So here's the question. If you woke up in one of these traps right now, which parts of your body would you be willing to destroy to survive? Because
I've always thought about, would I rather lose a hand or a leg? To be honest, bro, I'll lose a leg. You can take my leg, just let me keep my hand. Because with a leg, you can get a prosthetic. You know what I'm saying? Because as a leg, unless you're playing sports, you're really just walking. You know what I mean? Versus a prosthetic hand, you can't really, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do this with a prosthetic hand. I can't, how I'm tapping the mic. You can't really, like, you don't get the same sensation. You know what I'm saying? I'll rock out with a prosthetic. But my hands, bruh, nah, I gotta keep those.
I'm about to walk you through exactly what it feels like to find out, and you're not gonna like the answer. This is exactly how it would feel to go through each of the Saw traps. So that leaves would you be willing to destroy to survive? Because I'm about to walk you through exactly what it feels like to find out, and you're not gonna like the answer. This is exactly how it would feel to go through each of the Saw traps. So that leaves us with one question. Out of all of these different traps, which one would you go through? Would you rather survive the Angel Trap's acid bath or the
Nigga, none of them. Why would I want to go through a trap? Come on, bro.
Needle Pit's 1,000 puncture wounds? Let's find out. You wake up with steel clamped to your face, 60 seconds on a timer, and a key that's currently inside a dead man's stomach. The metal harness locks your jaw in place, and you can feel hooks sticking into the flesh behind your teeth, which is already causing your brain to send out distress signals it didn't know it had. There's a beeping by your ear. The TV across the room shows a puppet explaining that when the timer hits 0, the device will rip your mouth open permanently. And the phrasing is clinical enough that it takes you a second to understand what permanently means in this context. It means your jawbone gets separated from your skull. It means your face stops being one piece. You've got a knife taped to your hand, which is thoughtful, and the corpse in front of you is already cut open a bit, which is less thoughtful, but arguably it kind of helps you out. The panic hits fast enough that your hands start shaking before you've made a conscious decision to move. And shaking hands are not ideal for stomach surgery. You're digging through a dead guy's intestines at 45 seconds, gagging every 3 seconds, and your fine motor control has been replaced by something closer to what a raccoon does when it finds a trash bag. The key is in there somewhere, probably near the bottom. You're elbow deep in organs you can't identify, and the timer is beeping faster now, and your fingers finally close around something metal at 8 seconds. You get the key into the lock at 3 seconds. It turns, the harness clicks open. You rip it off and throw it across the room, where it immediately snaps shut with enough force to crack the concrete while it hits. You're alive, which means you're doing better than most people who've sat in that chair. But your hands are going to smell like death for approximately 3 months, assuming infection doesn't set in first. The bear trap at least gave you a corpse to work with, someone else's dead body, while yours stayed mostly intact. The next device requires you to perform surgery on yourself without anesthesia.
Oh, No, nah, my eye, nah. Just take my life at that. Just take my life, bruh. You mean I gotta go dig in my own eye with a knife? Go blind. You know what I'm saying? Or take a key. Nah, just take my life at that.
In 60 seconds on your own
By that point, bruh, I would have lived a long, fulfilled life. Just take it.
eye. You wake up and your right eye is throbbing before you're fully conscious. And when you reach up to touch it, you feel the weight of the metal helmet.
Matter of fact, how would they have even put a key behind your eye and then like read, like, how would they have even done that? How does that logically happen? How do you insert a key behind somebody's eye without making them go blind already? I don't get how that works.
Locked around your head. The helmet's got spikes aimed inward at your face, currently resting about an inch from your temples and eye sockets, and the gentle pressure against your skull suggests that this is not a decoration. This is not for fun. Your right eye feels wrong. It feels swollen. When you force it open, your vision in that eye is blurred and there's a sharp ache deep in the socket, which makes sense once the TV explains that there's been a key surgically implanted behind your eyeball and you've got 60 seconds to retrieve it before the spikes fire inward and turn your skull into a colander. The scalpel is already in your hand. The timer starts. What do? Well, here's the problem. Removing your own eye requires overriding every instinct your nervous system has spent millions of years developing. That's why you can't really bite off your own finger. Go try it right now. It is really hard to do. You would have to brute force the hell out of it in order to do it, but you could bite someone else's finger off like it's a carrot, no problem. Look it up, trust me. Anyways, your hand brings the blade toward your face and your entire body starts screaming at you to stop, which is reasonable because you're about to cut into one of the most sensitive parts of your anatomy while fully awake. You make the first cut along your lower eyelid and the pain is immediate and sharp enough that your vision goes white for a second, but you've only got 40 seconds left, so you keep going, cutting deeper, trying to get behind the eyeball itself. Blood is running down your cheek. Your eye starts turning into that gooey stuff in the movie you see. It kind of looks like Alfredo sauce. You're crying from the eye you're actively destroying. The scalpel slips and you nick the eyeball itself, which introduces a whole new level of pain you didn't know existed. At 30 seconds, you realize you're not going fast enough. At 20, you're still trying to cut through the optic nerve. At 10, your hands are shaking too hard to make any meaningful progress. The timer hits 0. Spikes fire. A bunch of metal points punch through your skull from all different directions at the same time. The death is instant, which is the only mercy this trap offers.
Yeah, it's like on the bright side, at least she went out quickly. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. But I would be like I said, I would be like, just take my life. But just sitting there for those seconds to count down, knowing that like, yo, like I'm through. That would honestly be more terrifying than actually like it actually happened. You know, that would give me. I might just pass away from a heart attack at that point.
Now that trap required precision that you probably don't have, speed that you can maintain, and pain tolerance that doesn't exist in a normal human. Let's try something that doesn't need surgical skill. Let's try something that needs you to wade into a pit of used needles and dig around for a key while hundreds of sharp points stab you from every direction. I just want to say really quickly, needles are my #1 phobia. I have to skip this scene every single time I watch the movie. I know, comment down below, grown men scared of needles. I get it. So if I faint while recording this section, that's why. You're standing at the edge of a hole in a floor that's filled with thousands of hypodermic needles, and somewhere at the bottom of that pile is a key you need to survive, which means you're about to have the worst day of your life, and it has.
I'll be honest though, I think I could do this. Now I'm not a big fan of needles either, you know, but like compared to the ones that we've gotten so far, but this one ain't really that bad, to be honest. If you think about it, like you might catch the herp, you know, or the sif, but I'll take this one probably over any of the other ones.
Even technically started yet. But you don't get the courtesy of just jumping in at your own paint. You don't get to wade into this deep end because someone, some idiot, some asshole pushes you. You don't jump, you get shoved, which means you land hard and uncontrolled into what is essentially a needle-filled ball pit, except every ball just gives you hepatitis C. The pain is immediate and everywhere at once. You're not getting stabbed by 1 needle or 10 needles. You're getting stabbed by hundreds of them at the same time. And your brain can't process them as individual injuries, so it just floods your system with a blanket signal that translates to, "Fuck, that hurts." You try to stand and your hands sink into more needles. Your palms get punctured. Your fingers get punctured. One slides under your fingernail and you make a sound that you didn't know you could make. Ew. The key is at the bottom. You're waist deep in syringes. Every movement causes new punctures, and some of these needles are still full of whatever was in them before, which means that you're not getting stabbed. You're getting fun time mystery fluids that could be anything from saline to hepatitis C to whatever I saw that guy down the bridge that was smoking. You're digging through them with your bare hands because there's no other option. And each needle you grab sticks into your palm, and you're crying now, but you keep digging because the alternative is staying.
To be honest though, even then, like them niggas at top, bro, they some hoes, bro. At least what they could have done, bro, is they could have like gave up they like shirts to where I could wrap they shirts around my hand, so that way when I'm digging through all this shit, bro, it is not that bad. I don't know. Actually, I still would take this compared to the other one, but yeah, this is kind of ass.
In this pit forever. Your arms look like you fought a porcupine and lost. Blood is mixing with whatever's in those needles. You finally grab something metal and solid. You pull out the key, throw it up to the people watching, and then drop it. It falls into the darkness outside the pit, and the door you needed to open stays locked. The needle pit at least lets you try it. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not like a ton of immediate danger. Yes, I am terrified of needles, but at the end of the day, a lot of these just like brutally, you get like your head cut off almost pretty much. Anyways, this next one gives you a jar of acid, 60 seconds, and a lock that won't open even if you do everything right. Your arms are chained above your head, and there's a harness strapped around your ribs, tight enough that breathing takes effort. And when you look down, you can see metal hooks embedded to your sides just under the rib cage. The hooks are already in you. They went in while you were unconscious, which was considerate timing, but doesn't help much now that you're awake and feel them grinding against every bone at the same time when you move. A TV clicks on, and no, it is not SpongeBob. It is some weird puppet guy explaining that the harness will rip your rib cage open unless you retrieve a key from the jar of acid hanging in front of your face. You've got 1 minute before the device spreads your ribs apart and turns your chest cavity into a butterfly. The jar is right there. You can reach it. The acid inside is cloudy and you can smell it from here, which is not a good sign for what's about to happen to your hand. You don't have time to think about better options because there aren't any. So you plunge your hand and the pain is immediate and comprehensive. The acid eats through skin faster than you thought possible. And your brain is sending signals that translate to, dude, get your fucking hand out of there. But you're fishing around for a key that's slippery and small and your fingers are already blistering. You grab it, yank your hand out, and your skin is peeling off in sheets. The key goes into the lock, you turn it, the lock clicks open. But the harness stays closed. There's a backup latch that you didn't see. The timer hits 0 and metal plates rip out.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I got the key out. Why do I still gotta? Hell nah, bro. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
With enough force to snap your ribs from your spine. Your chest opens sideways. You are dead before you understand what the backup latch was for. Because that trap was rigged from the start, which is almost worse than the ones that are just difficult. Because at least difficulty gives you something to blame besides the designer. Next one isn't rigged. The next one just requires you to cut off your limbs faster than someone else can cut off theirs. The scale doesn't lie about who brought more meat to the table. This scene made me faint when I watched it for the first time, so let's see if I can get through this one too. There's another person across from you. Both of you are standing on scales, and both of you have access to knives and saws in 60 seconds to cut off more of your own body weight than the other guy can manage, which is not a competition anyone has ever trained for. The rules are simple in a way that makes them worse. Whoever puts more flesh on the scale lives, and the loser gets a drill bit through their skull, and you can see the drill mounted to the helmet on your head, so there's no ambiguity about what loser means here. The guy across from you is heavy. He's probably 250 pounds, and he's already figured out that he can carve chunks off his stomach and stay functional. You're a tiny girl, and he doesn't waste any time. He just starts cutting off his belly fat and screaming, and the first piece of himself he saws off and throws on the scale is maybe 2 pounds. You're watching someone perform impromptu liposuction with a steak knife, and the scale is tipping in his direction. You're lean. You don't have 2 pounds of anything to spare except maybe a whole limb, which is a thought that hits you at 40 seconds remaining. You grab a rubber tourniquet, tie it around your arm, and pick up the cleaver. You can literally see my skin going white. Like I'm losing blood in my head talking about this. I just, cleaver. Anyways, cleaver go up, cleaver go down. You chop through your own forearm while your brain is actively trying to stop you from doing this. The first hit doesn't go all the way to the throat, because why would it? Why would it? You know, we're gonna make this so gruesome and graphic. You gotta do multiple chops, right? Yeah, arm coming off. Fresh arm meatballs for the spaghetti. I don't know, I'm trying not to faint right now.
It's like that meme where it's like, I won, but at what cost? Like, yeah, I survived this, but like, nigga, I don't have an arm. Like, I didn't really win shit.
Saw movies used to be really bad for me. I actually got over my fear of like surgical equipment and needles by forcing myself to watch every single Saw movie back to back within the span of 72 hours. Keep in mind, before I did this, I had never watched movies that were graphic in this way. And that is how I got over my phobia. But it still kind of affects me sometimes, especially when I'm like visualizing it. And in order to tell a video, you have to like visualize what you're saying. So I guess don't ever say I don't try to put in effort, because this is hard. So if you appreciate that, maybe, you know, toss a like this way and subscribe if you haven't already, because arm meatballs. Anyways, the third slash finishes the job and your arm falls off, it hits the floor, and there's more blood than you thought one arm could hold. You throw it on the scale, it tips in your favor, and the timer runs out. Your helmet doesn't fire. His does. You are technically alive, but you're also missing an arm and going to shock. So your survival rate for the next 6 minutes is maybe 30%, assuming someone finds out, which they probably won't. Now, cutting off your own arm at least ends quickly. You either do it or you don't. And then the trap moves on. What comes next doesn't end quickly. It doesn't give you one big decision to make, and it definitely doesn't let you pass out from the first injury, because it's designed to break you in stages so you stay awake for all of them. You ever thought that you liked a nice rack? Well, not this one. You wake up strapped to a metal frame with your arms and legs stretched out, which would be uncomfortable enough if your frame wasn't designed to rotate your limbs past the point where human joints are supposed to bend. The straps lock your wrists and ankles into metal cuffs connected to gears. When the machine starts up, you hear the grinding of the mechanism before you feel what it's doing. And then you feel it. The cuff on your right arm begins to rotate slowly, turning your wrist and forearm in a direction that your elbow isn't designed to accommodate. The sensation is immediate and specific. It's not a dull ache. It's a sharp wrongness as your ligaments start to tear and your bones begin to twist against each other inside your arm. You're screaming before the first full rotation completes, because the pain is the kind that bypasses rational thought and goes straight to the part of your brain that just wants everything to stop. The machine doesn't stop. It keeps turning until your radius and ulna bones spiral and snap mid-shaft. The sound of your own arm breaking is wet and distinct, and you definitely hear it over your screaming. The machine then pauses. You're still conscious, which is the trap's main design feature, because staying conscious means you get to anticipate what's coming next. The gears engage on your left arm and the process starts over. Same rotation, same tearing, same snap. Both your arms are useless now and hanging at angles that shouldn't exist. You are a glorified spaghetti noodle. You still got both legs and your neck to go. The machine moves to your right leg. Your femur breaks with enough force that you feel it in your pelvis. The left leg follows. By the time the collar starts to rotate your head, you're not begging for rescue anymore. You're begging for the neck twist to happen faster. And it does, and your neck snaps at the base of your skull, and everything stops. The rack at least killed you at the end. This one makes you rip 11 metal rings out of your own flesh before a nail bomb goes off, and you're naked in a classroom while you do it, which adds an extra layer of indignity to the whole experience. The rings are already pierced through you when you gain consciousness, hooked through your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your sides, your Achilles tendons, and one through your lower jaw. And each ring is chained to a different wall or floor bolt, so you're essentially pinned in place in the center of the room. There's a bomb on the desk in front of you. It's got a timer that says 60 seconds, and the rules are simple enough that even someone currently skewered to a floor could understand them. Rip the chains out of your body or the bomb turns you into a wall decoration. The problem is that ripping a metal ring through your flesh requires overriding every signal your nervous system can produce, and your nervous system is producing a lot of what the fucks, man, because there are 11 foreign objects currently inside you. You start
Now out your mouth, bro. Oh. There's no way you listen to this and still don't think the needles in the haystack wasn't the best option.
with your hands because they seem the least terrible option, which is wrong, but you don't have time to workshop better ideas. You yank your left hand away from the wall and the ring tears through the webbing between your thumb and first finger, shredding tendons and leaving a gap in your hand that you can see through. The pain is sharp and specific and makes your vision go white at the edges. You got 10 more left to go and 50 seconds left. You do the right hand, both shoulders, and the one through your sides. You're screaming the whole time and leaving pieces of yourself on the floor. The Achilles rings are the worst because when you rip those out, your feet stop working and you collapse forward, which means you're now trying to tear out the jaw ring while lying in your own blood. But your time runs out at 45 seconds. The bomb does not care that you tried. Kaboom. That trap gave you tools and a clear path to maybe surviving if you're willing to destroy yourself fast enough, which is more than the next one offers. The next one just puts you in a vat and starts filling it with rotting pig parts until you drown in the sludge. And your survival depends entirely on whether someone else decides you're worth saving. You're chained by the neck to the bottom of an industrial vat that smells like death before anything even starts happening. And when the machine above you whirs to life and drops the first liquefied pig carcass onto your head, you understand that smell is about to become your whole world. The slurry is thick and cold, and chunks of decomposed meat slide down your face onto your mouth before you can close it. And the taste is worse than anything your brain has a reference point for. It's rot in blood and something acidic that might be stomach contents, and you're gagging immediately, but that just makes you inhale some of it, which triggers more gagging, which creates a loop that's hard to break while you're also trying not to drown. The level is rising. It's up to your shins, then your waist, and then the conveyor above you is still dropping more carcasses into the grinder. A pig head plops into the vat next to you and floats there for a second before sinking. And now you're sharing a bath with decomposing livestock while trying very hard not to think about what diseases might be thriving in this soup. It reaches your chest, your neck, you're tilting your head back as far as the chain allows and trying to breathe through your mouth because your nose is already clogged with rot. But breathing through your mouth means tasting it, and tasting it means you vomit, which adds your stomach contents to the mix. The slurry goes over your face. You're holding your breath under a blanket of liquefied decay. And your lungs start burning after 30 seconds because they want air and you can't give them air. You can only give them putrid pig stuff. Your body decides to inhale anyway, and that thick liquid fills your throat and blocks your airway. And drowning this takes longer than drowning in water because the chunks don't move easily through your windpipe. You're still choking when your brain shuts off from lack of oxygen. Drowning in rot, pretty bad way to go. But, you know, at least you're not the one making the active choice to destroy yourself. Someone else is being a The next trap puts the choice back in your hands. It gives you a very clear set of instructions and then punishes you for making any sound while following those instructions, which is difficult when the instructions involve pulling a barbed hook up through your esophagus. There's a metal collar around your neck and 4 spikes aimed at your throat. There's a fishing line coming out of your mouth that you can feel going all the way down into your stomach. And someone just explained that they need to pull a key out of you using the hook that's attached to that line. But the spikes will fire inward if you make any noise above a whisper. The person pulling the line looks uncomfortable, which makes sense because they're about to yank a barbed hook through your internal organs while you sit there and take it quietly. They start pulling and you immediately feel the hook snag on something deep in your stomach. And the pain that follows is sharp and wrong and comes from a place inside you that's not supposed to send pain signals. The hook scrapes up your esophagus and every instinct you have is screaming at you to cough or gag or make any sound that might relieve the pressure or tell them they're doing it wrong. The spikes are already touching your neck and you can see the sound meter on the collar flickering near the red zone. So you bite down on your tongue hard enough to draw blood just to redirect the pain somewhere you can control. The hook tears through your esophagus lining on the way up and you can feel it catching on tissue, ripping through the soft parts of your throat. And the person pulling is trying to be gentle, but gentle doesn't really exist in a scenario where you're fishing a key out of someone's digestive tract. Blood fills your mouth. You're swallowing it because spitting it would be too loud. Your vision is tunneling, and your whole body is shaking from the effort of not screaming. But the key is almost out, just a few more inches, and then your body makes the decision for you, and you gasp loud enough to trigger the collar. The spikes punch through your neck from 4 directions, and everything goes silent. The Silent Circle at least pretended that you had a chance that you could be quiet enough. Honestly, I don't think anybody could actually do this. That's a pretty messed up way to go. The furnace skips the pretense and just lights you on fire after convincing you to climb inside a metal box. You see 2 syringes at the back of what looks like an industrial oven, and you've been watching the people around you.
In the movie, this nigga was stupid, because why the fuck would you just go in there and close, like, bro? Nah, this nigga deserved that shit. How do you just, knowing it's a Saw movie, bro, how do you just go in there? That shit's stupid as fuck.
Die from nerve gas for the past hour. Those syringes look pretty appealing. The door to the furnace is open. You crawl inside because what else are you going to do? Stay out here and die slowly?
No, I remember there's literally a side, there's a glass on one of the sides here where the furnace, bro. So you literally could have just broke the glass, reached in and grabbed the shit, bro.
And the moment that you're fully in the chamber, the door slams shut behind you and locked.
Or they could have put something in the way of the door to make sure it wouldn't close. Like, bro, there were so many ways to avoid going out like this, bro.
There's a sound of gas releasing, and then the flames start, and you realize the syringes were bait, and you just crawled into your own cremation. The temperature jumps fast enough that you don't have time to adjust. The air goes from normal to scalding in seconds, and your first breath after the flames start feels like inhaling hot sand. Your skin goes red immediately, then starts blistering, and you're scrambling away from the flame jets on the walls, but there's nowhere to go because you're in a sealed metal box that's rapidly becoming an oven. You spot a valve with a crude drawing of a devil next to it, which is the clue you were supposed to notice before climbing in. And you lunge for it and try to turn it, but your hands are already burned and slippery and the valve won't budge all the way. The flames spread across the whole chamber. Your clothes catch fire. The skin on your arms is bubbling and peeling off in strips, and you're trying to scream, but your throat is too scorched to make proper sounds. So what comes out is a dry rasp. The heat climbs past the point where your body can function, and your brain starts shutting down from thermal damage. You collapse onto the metal floor, which brands whatever skin touches it, and then you stop moving. So yeah, a really cheerful video for you today, huh? Which of these, in your personal opinion, do you think would be the worst to go through?
The rings gotta be up there. The rings. The pig shit. The key in the throat. And the furnace. Because all of those, like, it's one thing if your death is instant with no pain. It's a whole nother when, like, you gotta go through brutal pain. Yeah, man, I don't know. So with that being said, man, y'all let me know y'all thoughts on this in the comment section below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. And until next time, peace.